There's a total of 9 new political office holders, including 7 who are newly elected MPs. David Neo is among them. He will be the acting Culture, Community and Youth Minister, while Jeffrey Seah will be the acting Transport Minister. 4 office holders are also being promoted. Let's take a look at who they are. 3 of the newcomers will become Ministers of State. Dinesh Vasu is the Minister of State for Culture, Community and Youth, as well as for Manpower. Jasmine Lau will be the Minister of State for Education, as well as for Digital Development and Information. Goh Pei Ming takes on the role of Minister of State for Home Affairs, as well as for Social and Family Development. Also new to the team, Goh Han Yan is appointed Senior Parliamentary Secretary for the Sustainability and the Environment Ministry, as well as for the Culture, Community and Youth Ministry. Dr. Syed Harun al-Habshi will take the role of Senior Parliamentary Secretary for Education as well as National Development. Among those promoted, Associate Professor Faisal Ibrahim, Murali Pillay and Sun Xueling will become Senior Ministers of State. Associate Prof. Faisal will also be acting Minister in charge of Muslim Affairs. Baey Yam Keng will also be promoted to Minister of State. The government is actively building the next generation of leaders, and Prime Minister Lawrence Wong says the outline of the future team is taking shape. He stresses that leadership renewal is crucial to Singapore's future success. Several new MPs have key roles. They've been appointed as ministers and in other positions in the new cabinet. Aslam Shah reports.
David Neo was introduced to Singaporeans leading up to the recent general election. And so was Jeffrey Seah. Prime Minister Wong says they are ready to lead. Mr. Seah was appointed as acting Transport Minister, while Mr. Neo will be the acting Culture, Community and Youth Minister.
There is a high threshold of requirements to be able to operate and serve as a minister. Some are able to do this soon, and so we expose them. They are able to take on these responsibilities early. Some may need more time to develop and grow in their job, and we allow them to do so. Some may not contribute at that level, but their contributions are no less valued. As a PALSEC or as a Minister of State, they are equally important. Every member plays an important part and contributes importantly, effectively to the team. And so my role as leader is to make sure that every member can contribute to the best of their abilities.
Mr. Wong says the 2 new acting ministers proved themselves in their previous work before joining politics, and his decision was deliberated extensively.
It's really on the basis of having worked with them closely, feedback from different parties who have worked with them, interacted with them, and our assessment of their abilities and potential. But they will not be the only ones. I hope certainly amongst the rest who are coming in at a junior level at MOS and SPS. I believe they do have the potential to do more as well, and hopefully they will develop, grow, and they will be able to take on larger responsibilities in due course.
Mr. Wong adds that his new cabinet has 9 new office holders who are backbenchers or newly elected MPs. This is among the highest in recent history. He hopes young politicians can continue to step up and assume more responsibilities as he builds the next generation of leaders.
In the course of the next few years, you can see the younger ones stepping up, the ones who do well and are able to take on more responsibilities. I would want them to do so. And maybe even amongst those whom I have not brought in this time around, existing backbenchers and other MPs whom I have not brought in this time around, there may be a chance for them to come in later. And then gradually I will want to build up a next generation team to take Singapore forward.
Newly elected MP Jasmine Lau is among the new batch of leaders. She's set to be a Minister of State at the Digital Development and Information Ministry and Education Ministry.
We have to understand how policies have evolved over time to where they are, and we must also learn what's the impact of our work on the stakeholders in our different areas. So no time to waste there in terms of picking up and learning the ropes. But at the same time, I think we also know there is no need for haste. And sometimes we really have to be quite patient in the changes that we want to bring about, in the changes that we will set in place, because these will affect many stakeholders and many citizens.
Mr. Wong says he will make further adjustments to his cabinet in 1 to 2 years' time when more junior office holders are ready to step up.
The cabinet reshuffle will see a new 5G leaders mixing among 3G and 4G ones as the Prime Minister seeks to prioritise leadership renewal in his new term of government. To tell us more on the implications of his move, I'm joined by Associate Professor Eugene Tan from the SMU's Yong Pung House School of Law. Eugene, always have pleasure to have you.
Oh, thank you.
Right, so PM Wong talks about leadership renewal and how it is a key priority for him. But his cabinet is still made up of 3G, mostly, and 4G leaders. How does this impact leadership renewal timelines?
I think it doesn't, Genevieve. In fact, as Prime Minister Wong mentioned in the story just before this package, his focus on leadership renewal. And when we look at previous cabinets, they've always been intergenerational, right? And by that I mean they have several generations. So we have in the current cabinet 3G leaders, SM Lee Hsien Loong, DPM Gan Kim Yong, and Home Affairs Minister K. Shanmugam, right? But the bulk would be 4G. And then we have, 2 5G leaders, given the role of acting ministers. So I think it's this whole process of, constantly ensuring that there is a pipeline of leaders who are able to step up when the time comes for them to do so. And I think it's important, right? Leadership is a critical asset for Singapore. And in many ways, if we're not able to have that pipeline, I think we wouldn't be in good shape. So I would say that, with the fact that you have 9 new office holders, right? Either from the backbenchers or first-time elected MPs, that it shows that there is that focus on leadership renewal, starting from the get-go.
Okay. Now, top of the PM's mind, and he spoke about before, the current geopolitical climate weighs heavily on him, and that has influenced the decision to keep certain core positions unchanged. What are some of the considerations, right, when it comes to the balancing act between prioritizing experience and introducing new blood?
Yes, I think that's an excellent point, right? The need to have an even-handed approach to both experience, expertise, as well as, new blood, new energy, new perspectives. And I suppose, despite the resounding performance of the ruling party at the general election earlier this month, I think PM is aware, that you wouldn't want to have too radical a change, right? Because you want to ensure that there's continuity in policies. You want to ensure that the people continue to have faith in the leadership. So when you look at ministries like Trade and Industry, Home Affairs, Health, they are still helmed by the same ministers, but the changes are really at the lower level, right? Senior Ministers of State, and Senior Parliamentary Secretary. So it's trying to get that balance right. You don't want to have too minimal a change, such that there is stasis, right? That there is inertia, but at the same time, you don't want to have too much churn, right? Which could create some uncertainty or perhaps concern about the direction that the country is heading.
Yeah. So speaking of churn, now we're looking forward to the 5G leadership, which is we're talking about the fresh faces. Now, can we say that these fresh faces that have been promoted will be the potential future PM or 5G core? What does it mean for longer-term governance?
It's still early days, right? So, as PM mentioned, in his media interview, the new office holders, particularly those who have been made acting ministers, right, Mr. Jeffrey Seow and Mr. David Neo, that's very much on the track record of their 2 decades, in the public service and in the military. But the public service is quite different from political leadership, right? There may be similar skill sets, same set of requirements, but at the same time, you are now making political judgment, right? You're now having to carry the ground with you. You're now having to persuade people, that a certain policy direction is right. You also have to be able to drive, your ministry in ways that you think would be good. So I would say that, they are all in the frame, right? They certainly are, the front runners, but we all know the vagaries of politics and the uncertainties of political life. So you could be, one of the front runner today, but that may not be the situation, 10 years down the road. So it is a fairly exhausting and demanding journey. And so that's why I think PM Wong recognizes the need, to blood as many new office holders as possible, so that we will have the healthy pipeline of leaders.
Sure. And of course, there were also promotions among existing, political office holders and as well as backbenchers. Do the priorities reflect a certain, shall we say, hierarchy within the party?
Well, I think what they mean, but through all these changes, is that the door is always open, right? PM is always on the lookout, for people with different skill sets, different talent, different sort of backgrounds, because you need that diversity in order to ensure, that you avoid the groupthink in cabinet, but you are also able to bring that a variety of perspectives, right? And that makes for better decision making, better policy making. So we will see, new faces, and PM already indicated that. Someone is not in this current round doesn't mean that he or she is excluded, because that is a question of timing, right? I think in politics, timing matters a lot, and in the end, right? Even as backbenchers, they are acquiring experience. They are able to demonstrate what they can do, and I think that's how we hope that more of them will be tapped, so that PM can have that wide complement of people that he can choose, because he will always need the best possible team that Singapore can have.
Yeah. So picking up on your comment about the breadth, right, of experience and what you bring to the table, in terms of, say, the distribution of, shall we say, responsibilities and leadership, what do you think of that in this new lineup? Are the important portfolios spread out enough, across different talents, across maybe the GRCs?
I think so, right? I mean, yes, you have, in certain critical ministries, given what's happening globally, where PM feels that it is important, for the current ministers to remain in post, right? Yeah. So you have DPM Gunn in trade and industry, Grace Fu in sustainability and the environment, and Mr. Ong Yi Kang in health. But PM has also signaled that, we need changes, right? So you see in Ministry of Community, Culture and Youth, quite significant changes. A lot of new office holders are in there. So I think, we will see, that explosion of ideas or new approaches to dealing with the portfolios that the ministry is concerned with. But in education, in transport, we have new ministers, So I think it's really, a fairly moderate approach. I think one could say that there is continuity and change, but I would say that the emphasis at the ministerial level is on continuity, but at the junior ministerial level, it is more on change. So it's a delicate balance, and I think PM's job would be to try to ensure that this mix of talent, this mix of individuals will be able to work together and will be able to lift Singapore to greater heights.
And for yourself, Eugene, was there anything that surprised you or made you like, to go home like in this new cabinet lineup?
Well, I think we were all looking out for, whether PM Wong would appoint a second deputy prime minister. Right. So I think he's clearly taking his time. But he then comes up with a fairly interesting arrangement with 3 coordinating ministers, including one for public services. But I think it's also, a reflection, that there's a need for greater coordination, right? Because the issues that affect Singaporeans, whether it's climate change or mental health, they cut across different ministries, right? And so increasingly, it becomes imperative for the government, to work as one single unit, right? So coordination becomes important. And I suppose, he sees it, P meaning PM, sees the arrangement of 1 DPM and 3 coordinating ministers, forming that core of his leadership team as being something that could work for this moment, right? And as mentioned, in midterm, I think we will probably have, a second deputy prime minister or maybe even 2 new deputy prime ministers.
All right, something to look out for then.
Definitely.
All right, Eugene, thanks for joining us. And that was Associate Professor Eugene Tan from the SMU Yong School of Law.